The weekend is just around the corner, and if you're looking for something to play, this one's for you. I've put together a list of games that are not just great, they're also on sale right now, so you might want to grab them before the discounts disappear. Anyway, let's get started. Starting off at number 12, Persona 5 Royal is 60% off on a Steam sale that lasts until May 8th. To put it bluntly, it's one of the best RPGs ever, not just a great game at sale price. It took 4 years for the game, plus its various extras to make the jump from consoles to Windows, and yes, you should play it. For JRPG and RPG fans, the music and story, the presentation, the world, the polish, the art style, and combat, it's crazy. Somehow the game is almost perfect and builds on everything Atlus learned over the years with their Persona series. It's also very, very long. I know this one personally because I finished it. It took me about 140 hours. I gotta say, normally a game like that is not in my wheelhouse, but Jesus, it's just so good. I really think it's a great game. Unfortunately, it makes jumping back to Persona 4 Golden a little bit of a challenge because it builds on that one in every possible way, and it's an incredible game. I don't, however, recommend it for somebody who is not already into long RPGs. That would probably be a mistake, but if you love games that are like 100 plus hours, Persona 5 is a must-play game. At number 11, it's Ghost Trick Phantom Detective. This is currently at 50% until May 6th. It's a 2010 cult classic that got kind of a surprise remaster last 2023. This is not a game that I was personally betting on ever seeing a remaster, but I'm happy to see that the Capcom lost nothing in translation. Ghost Trick Phantom Detective is beautiful, approachable, and charming, everything that makes the original an over-the-shoulder hit for DS people. You actively want to show off the game to your friends and the unique stuff it does with the puzzle genre Ikel game. You're literally a dead person who's got to manipulate objects around the living world to change fate and solve your murder. It's such a weird and awesome gameplay mechanic. Now that you can play the game with a mouse, it totally feels like it always belonged on PC. On Steam, Ghost Trick Phantom Detective is selling for about $30. So a 5% markdown puts it at less than $15 in the US. Probably less if you're buying it in another region. It's well worth it too. You have ghostly ability, but they can only be manipulated around a few inches around your corpse. It's just such a unique idea. There's not a lot of games that take advantage of the mechanics Ghost Trick does. It's hard to even talk about this game without spoiling anything because they've been dead the whole game. And you're just assisting the world as this weird ghost with telekinetic powers. At number 10 is Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name. That's currently at 60% off until May 8th. Yeah, it's a little bit of a pricey one. It's still around $20, but considering that it was originally a $50 game and now it's on sale and has a really good story, I personally think it's a pretty damn good deal. You play as Kazuma Kiryu. We're picking up right after the events of Yakuza 6: The Song of Life, at least in terms of when it happens in the world and the series. The game's also a bit of a spin-off because it's a story about an ex-Yakuza playing bodyguard to a mysterious organization. The idea that it's a spin-off really has to do with the way it fits in the chronology. I'd still highly recommend that you play prior Yakuza games, at least numbers 0 through 6. Doesn't take long before our main character gets embroiled in all kinds of punching, kicking, and plot twists. The narrative is top-notch in this one, as it is in every single Yakuza game. The gameplay is pretty much the same as well. Still feels good to be punching dudes in the street. It's also a little more experimental than maybe some of the more recent games, because it has a shorter length and a narrower focus than a lot of the other entries. That sounds like criticism unless you're me. I love when a new game comes out and it's 20 hours instead of 100. Did it cost less money when it came out? Yes. Does it cost significantly less money now? Yes. So pick it up if you love the existing Yakuza games. I mean, listen, if you haven't gotten into Yakuza seriously, do it. At number 9 is Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition, currently at 80% on Steam, and that's a pretty damn good deal. For just $4, you're about to experience one of the best indie games out there. Now, if you've already gone through Ori, good news. Its sequel, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, is 67% off as well. Both of them are excellent examples of Metroidvania. They have award-winning art designs. They play fantastic. They are smooth. Some people like the first one better. Some people like the second one better. To me, they're different games. The lived experience of a Metroidvania may be what you want, but I think that each game has its own flavor and does things a bit differently in ways that are highly complementary to each other. They're not interchangeable. They're both great. That's what I would say about that. They may look cute, but they're going to take your beat you over the head skills and put them to the test, and they offer up genuinely emotional stories. I know it's weird that it's only about a ball of light. The first one's a little more on the nose, let's say, but they're both really good. In terms of color and animation, too, these games are just their own world. I don't know if we've seen anything else. I guess you could say Hollow Knight sort of gets into that territory with being its own thing, but these are even sort of separate from that, and they're both excellent games and pretty cheap. If you want, I think it's absolutely worth it to pick up both of them. At number 8 is Tomb Raider 2013. It's currently at 85% off on Steam, sitting around $3 until May 8th. The other games in this series are also discounted, but this one's the cheapest right now, and since it's, let's say, the start of the Tomb Raider trilogy, picking this one first is kind of a no-brainer. I mean, listen, this is a classic. It redefines what well-done, big-budget adventure games need to look like. From a technical standpoint, it's good enough to live up to today's standards, and that's saying something considering it's a pretty old game, about a decade. There's some story beats in there that are kind of jump saw, but it does make Lara Croft a dimensional, interesting character, rather than a randomly mindless, sexy polygonal piece of geometry, or really just any character that may have been dropped into one of those old-style Tomb Raider games. I like the old ones, don't get me wrong. These are a whole lot different than that, though. I mean, they play in a lot of the same areas, as in going into old tombs and exploring and doing stuff like that, but the new ones are much more in the realm of a modern, big-budget AAA game. Definitely one of the must-buy games from this list alone. At number 7 is Little Nightmares. That's currently sitting at a 75% discount until May 7th. This one's just $5. The sequel game's also on sale, but similar to the reason that I gave you for Tomb Raider, getting this one's a no-brainer if you haven't played it yet. Of course, I recommend getting the sequel also because it's on sale. But given that Little Nightmares 3 is on its way this year, there's no better time to play these games. The original Little Nightmares is kind of a perfect blend of simple yet deep. It's a horror, stealth, platformer puzzle game that seems like it was inspired by Inside or Limbo. The idea is simple, but it's the complexity of its mood, its mastery of timing, and the way it draws out tension perfectly that makes it so good. It's a short one. If you just want to buy it and play it for an afternoon, it's absolutely one of those kinds of games. It throws you in the middle of everything with no words, no explanation. You are this small creature in a murky, wet, claustrophobic, and dangerous world. It lets you figure out the why and how of everything and features little bosses that are equal parts terrifying and brilliant. The guy in the kitchen, man, God, I love that guy. Speaking of scary limbs and unique art direction, considering it's on Steam sale for a wild 75% savings, I totally get how some of you won't be able to pass it up, and hey, like I said, if you want to get the second one, also an excellent game, a little more developed, let's say the sequel to a first game. At number 6 is Pentiment, and that's 50% off until May 8th. It's now $20. Now let's go ahead and get this out of the way. Pentiment may not be for everyone. At a quick glance, you might wonder if this is a visual novel or is it some kind of RPG, but what it actually ends up being is a truly fascinating murder mystery that just kind of defies genre description. It's got a very unique visual style. It looks a little bit like an old illuminating manuscript, and I think that's awesome, actually. I mean, on top of that, the way the storytelling features deliberate pacing, rich historical settings that ground it, and layers upon layers of characters and interactions, it's a pretty unique game. You don't see a lot of stuff like this. It is honestly probably an easy game to get wrong too. I think Obsidian did a hell of a job, but again, it's Obsidian, and I'm gonna be real. I really enjoy Obsidian stuff most of the time. They're an off-the-beaten-path kind of company. There's a lot of illumination of forgotten facets of history in there, and it really sucks you in. It ends up being one of those games that you call an undeniable must-play for anyone who considers themselves a real student of games, or history for that matter. It's an experimental game for sure, but it's an experiment I consider very successful. Moving on to number 5 is Ender Lilies Quietus of the Nights. That's currently 60% off until May 6th, sitting around $10 as of making this video. This is another Metroidvania, may look a little cute, but it's a challenging and rewarding game. The art style is minimal and beautiful. It's a very purposeful game. Unlike a lot of indie games, it doesn't feel like it's too highly derivative of any one influence. It's its own thing. It's just mostly, like I said, a Metroidvania with some similarities to Symphony of the Night or Hollow Knight, but it has some other unique mechanics that it draws from other places or just comes up with on its own. Enough to really feel like its own game, its own identity, and a little more challenging actually than a lot of other Metroidvanias, but it's also got a lot of options for builds, upgrades, and customization for your characters so you can kind of go at it however you want to. Again, its art style deserves a lot of recognition. It's moody and atmospheric without crossing into either Souls-like or Halloween territory. And not saying that either of those things is bad, but you do see a lot of indie Metroidvania games land in one of those two territories often. I think I like Halloween-type stuff most of the time, but does something different, and I like that. At number 4 is Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne. It's currently at 75% off. Again, these are older games, so it's around $2.50 anyways. So, I was actually thinking about it pretty hard, but I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit controversial. I think that Max Payne 2 may actually be the best entry in the trilogy. And that's saying a lot because I love the original. Max Payne 2 is essentially a refinement of everything that makes the original great, particularly in terms of the length, the density of the story, and the set pieces. There's just zero fat in Max Payne 2. Yes, fat is good sometimes, and in the original Max Payne, totally. It is not bad that the game is a little bit slower to start and has a little more filler. It's not bad. It's an excellent game. I love Max Payne, but it's easier to go back to Max Payne 2 because it just kind of immediately starts doing the stuff that you play a Max Payne game for. It builds on the original and streamlines it in pretty much all the right ways, and I just can't wait for the remakes. You know I'm going to be playing those, but I may play Max Payne 3 again soon. But if I'm dipping my toes in the water, I probably go with Max Payne 2. I don't know. Let's stop talking about this. I don't want to be too controversial. Sometimes people take you a little too seriously when you say one is better than the other and you don't mean anything by it. Everybody's too mad about everything all the time. At number 3 is Sunset Overdrive. Now, this one's just $4 because it's currently 80% off. It's an underrated gem that I think more players should have gotten the chance to play. Maybe the exclusivity during its launch is the reason? I don't know. But now that it's available on PC, I'm more than willing to recommend this to, well, everyone. It's by Insomniac, currently owns a significant chunk of the PS5 at this point. They've done Ratchet & Clank, Spider-Man, Resistance, and now they are making finally the Wolverine game, which I've been waiting for, an action game based on Wolverine about many years now. That being said, Sunset Overdrive's its own thing. It introduces this over-the-top, punk-infused postpartum world that kind of lets you go nuts. It feels a little bit like Jet Set Radio if you had guns and a little more of a vertical environment to work with, and it's really a hell of a recipe. There's a lot of wacky, vibrant things about it that just work. Its aesthetics, its gameplay, its weapons, its customizations, its combos. Just moving around and shooting things is super fun. And to be frank, I kind of wish we saw some of the same ideas in Sony's Spider-Man games here and there. And at number 2, it's Isonzo. This game's 75% off until May 6th. It's currently a little less than $8. It's a World War I first-person shooter that kind of stands out from the infinite Call of Duty competitors by giving us something totally different. Like, Call of Duty's certainly created its own little subgenre of shooters, but it's refreshing to get gameplay that is highly polished and does something way different. I mean, keep in mind, we're not exactly blessed with the vast library of World War I games. There's a World War II game every 5 seconds. This game doesn't just offer a wide range of weapons, some really big maps, and balanced gameplay, but it recreates pretty faithfully the uniforms and aesthetics, and there's a lot of accuracy to the period that makes it a lot of fun to wade into. It's not like a simulation game, but they clearly put a lot of thought and effort into making it feel kind of like it's in another time. It's a pretty damn good multiplayer game. If you're like me, they may or may not have gotten a little short attention span when it comes to Call of Duty. That doesn't mean it's bad. I'm not saying anything like that, but I don't tend to stick with a Call of Duty game for more than a couple of weeks after it comes out. Isonzo, however, I played a lot last year. I like it, and I think $7.50 is a hell of a deal for it. And last but not least, at number 1, with the release of Assassin's Creed Shadows. The trend of going back to an Assassin's Creed game is here again, and probably will be for a while. For every Assassin's Creed fan that hasn't played Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, it's currently 75% off, and I highly, highly recommend this. You can get it for just $5. If you're one of those people that said Assassin's Creed 2 was the best, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood basically took 2 and completed the ideas it had started. Really, Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood go together as a single thing if you ask me, in the sense that Brotherhood really feels like the missing features from Assassin's Creed 2, because otherwise I think they're extremely comparable games. But Brotherhood's the one I would give the edge to, just because sending assassins on missions and using them to attack people was so much fun, and it really definitely feels like something that they were planning when they made the second game, but didn't have the time to include. Storytelling's excellent in it. Ezio and Claudia are fabulous in it. Honestly, unless you played the games when they came out, Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood really are the games that people think are the best Assassin's Creed games. There is obviously the Black Flag contingent and the Origins contingent. Some people think the first game's the best. I love the first game. It absolutely doesn't take away from 1, 2, or 3 if you don't think so. I think they're all great games, but those are 2 games that I think a lot of people that are really big fans of the series now haven't experienced, and I just think they're both great.